Let's talk crochet. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is Slow Crochet. This is episode 075. And I'm just checking in this week, as I usually do, to tell you all about the things that I've been working on this week, any kind of new projects or new finishes, things of that nature, just because I love being able to share what I make with people other than my family. Before I get started, I do want to mention that what I'm wearing on my head was what I'm going to consider my first real tutorial. I have made a tutorial in the past, but it was so full of errors, and I was just thinking I need to go ahead and make one because the first one is such a learning curve. I've learned a lot from that first tutorial that I ever put out, and so this one, which is a corner to corner top down crochet beanie, I like this a lot more, and so that video released on Saturday, and I'm really excited just to have it. I actually genuinely enjoy this pattern. It's not a yarn eater either, so really like how that turned out, and I will be probably making more of these in the future when I start making more projects that I'm going to donate to charity or different places in my community, usually closer to winter. So that's that little bit. I will have this linked below if you haven't seen it, but tutorials aren't for everyone and you're just here to chat about yarn. So let's get into it. All right, so let me go ahead and show you the things that I have had in progress, what I've completed and what I've not. So one thing that I have completed is my Seafarers cap. Whoops, it still has my crochet hook attached. This is a size JF 6.0 millimeter hook, and this is my newest to me vintage boy. I think this is the oldest hook that I have, not counting my great grandmother's steel hooks. So used that this whole time through. Loved how it turned out. Let me switch my hat. It's super toasty. It's nice and fluffy. It has that double layer there. I almost feel like a bit of a Cossack when I put this on. I have some friends from Eastern Europe, and they always say that our family looks very Eastern European. So I feel like I could be Estonian with this hat. If y'all are from that area, if you have any knowledge of that, please do let me know, because sometimes in the States our heritage gets so blended up that we don't even know what kind of mutt we are. But neither here nor there. Love the hat, love the shape of it. I did follow the pattern properly, so it has a nice flat top there, and this was using Cascade 220 Heathers, and it's the color Cordovan, which, if you're not aware, it's a really expensive leather. And so I can see how this almost marled, like there's lots of different colors of brown in there. It almost has the feel of a really expensive leather where it has like depths of color as it's been tanned. So really well named, really beautiful there. And it is 100% wool. It's not superwash, but it'll be perfectly toasty this winter. And I think it's a beautiful, deep, rich color. So I'll wear it. Maybe my husband will wear it. Maybe the kids will wear it. But great to have in my collection. I think I'm going to take a break from Seafarers caps for a bit, just because I feel like I've done several of them recently, and they are rather time consuming with all the slip stitching that you have to do for the brim here. But I think they're totally worth it. They are kind of big. They do have some structure. I know that is more so than the slouchy hats. The more structured hats have become more of a trend. But regardless, fantastic hat, and love that I finished it. This yarn did come in a hank of about 220 yards or 200 meters, and I only had about 2 yards left. Let me show you the next thing that I've been working on. I didn't even report on it last week because I made so little progress, and this I would have made more progress, except I had to frog back almost the entirety of what I was working on. So this is a wrap sweater, and it is simply some double crochets going in the in-between spaces. And what I had done initially was, when I came around to do the first part of the wrap, I thought that you only did an increase on either other row. So I got all the way down, and then I did my stitch count across the bottom, and I had a completely wrong number. And I realized that I went back and read the pattern, and I realized I had done half the number of increases that I was supposed to. So this is what it will be, the back panel and the front panel. I have a little bit more to go on the front, and just a bit more of this yarn. And when I'm done with the ivory, I'm going to come in with this kind of marled, well, my painting colors here. Even though that mood board make-along is over, I'm still persisting in making this sweater. The only thing I'm not sure of at this point is quite how I'll do the sleeves, but maybe we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Maybe I'll do a little cap sleeve, or maybe I'll do like a shorter form of the lacy sleeve, or maybe I'll do a whole bell sleeve. I'm not sure. The pattern itself has a very lacy texture for the sleeves, but we'll see how this turns out. It's gonna be really two-toned and kind of color blocked in that way, because I really don't think I'll have enough of this to do all of the main body of the sweater just in this color. So we shall see. I think it'll be better if I do a little bit of blending here. So anyway, I'll be thinking about that. I'll be working on that in the background. So yes, those were my two main works in progress, and really I guess it's only just one that I had going other than my scrap blanket. It's kind of just an ongoing thing. There's no real time frame. There's no push to finish that. So what did I do with the rest of my crochet time this week? Well, Cassandra over at Craftably Ever After did ask us to make our little mushroom cats, but my family submitted more than just the mushroom cat design. And what I wanted to do was crochet one of the other pictures that my children submitted. So this is the original picture. This is Wojtek. I think that's how you pronounce it. So Wojtek the bear was an actual person, and I think he finished out his life maybe in Edinburgh. If you're familiar, please let me know, or maybe I'll correct myself on screen. But Wojtek was a bear that I think was, he was either Russian or Polish. So in World War II, he was adopted by an army regiment. And when they went to deploy or something like that, they were not allowed to take pets with them. So they actually enlisted Wojtek into the army. He actually did some honest, good work. He learned how to carry ammunition, these really heavy loads, and transport them back and forth. And I think he did some other things too, I'm not sure. He was very well loved. But when Cassandra put out that challenge, my history-loving child said I wanted a Wojtek. So I thought, how better to honor Wojtek and Cassandra, who inspired this whole challenge, than to do Buddy Bear as Wojtek. Now, Buddy Bear is Cassandra's pattern. It is a free PDF that she has on her website, and I'll have that linked below as well as her channel. But this was my interpretation of Wojtek. So for the main part of him, I am using I Love this yarn from Hobby Lobby. This one is the color Coffee, so a very dark brown. I used a little bit of a brown scrap of Caron Simply Soft. And then for the feet, it is just yarn from Premier in the colorway Mist. And then the camo color is a scrap ball that I picked up at a local thrift store. This scrap ball, the rest of it has already gone to that history-loving child. They requested it immediately. So yeah, so this is my interpretation. Let me get his little outfit off, and you can see the joy that is Buddy Bear. Here he is. He is just delightful. Now this is the second bear I've ever made, but I found it really funny that Cassandra actually this week showcased a bunch of bears that she had made. So here's Wojtek, or Buddy Wojtek, to go along with her parade of bears. I was really challenged making his little vest here. I ended up trying to fit around his hips here and kind of doing some extensions, some extended single crochets as I was going around, and then trying to just form the armholes so they fit. It was a little bit easier to do the buttonholes in the back and just some little basic buttons, but the child did say that even though Wojtek in the illustration was wearing green, it's actually meant to be camo, Mom. So that's what we went with. Now the helmet is a little bit strange just because I had to account for the ears. I couldn't really form it the way you would form a helmet on a person. So it doesn't quite have the same helmet shape, but I tried to be a little intentional in giving him a little bit of a brim there and kind of shaping it around the back just a little bit. It's functional, it's serviceable. I am still fairly new to amigurumi and going off pattern and really trying and pushing myself to make something like this. I thought I've done a pretty good job. So what do you think? Would you have recognized Wojtek from his illustration? I know that in the actual illustration, he's a little bit leaner than Buddy Bear is, but I just thought this was a great opportunity to make the Buddy Bear pattern, and I really did enjoy it. It was really beautifully written, very easy to follow. You could tell that Cassandra is a tremendous professional. She knows what to do, and there are plenty of illustrations and plenty of photographs to help make sure that your buddy turns out just right. Wojtek did take quite a bit of my week this week. It was the time where I was sitting and really focusing, and that's not a bad thing because I had kind of freed up that space after doing those 2 shawls last week. So this is something I wanted to make for a while. I'm really glad that I was able to create him, and I'm really glad that he gets to get out of here and go spend time with his new best friend in a couple of rooms over. So as much as Wojtek had been something I'd wanted to make for a while, I decided to start something else that I've been wanting to make for a while, and that comes from my library book, Animal Friends of Pika Pow. And I have chosen to do Murray. Now, Murray is a sea otter, and I've already gotten some progress made on him. Here he is. I've already gone off pattern a little bit, and I've already been stretched a little bit. So the ways that I've gone off the pattern, number 1, I made the arms and I crocheted them in. Y'all, this was the first time I'd crocheted in arms, and it took me, I think, 2 tries just to figure out how to attach them. And then it took me another couple of tries. I frogged back a couple of different times to try to get the little thumbs to be positioned properly. Definite learning curve here. I do still have the strands of yarn that I was initially going to use to sew the arms into the body, but I think I'll keep them there, and I'll just see how his arms play out. If I need to kind of pull them down a little bit, stitch them down a little bit, we'll see how he goes. I think I'm also going to make him a little bit less tall than the Murray otter is, but we'll kind of come to that as we go. We're just kind of going around and seeing how far we get. I do have a child that said, "Mom, please hurry up and finish your otter because I want you to make something for me." So this is what we're going to do. Mom can make something for herself, and Mom can make something for a child, and Mom can make something for herself, and Mom can make something for a child. So setting a few little boundaries there. Hopefully no little hearts will be crushed, but at the same time, they can learn to wait. That's all right. It is all right to wait. So anyway, this otter is being made out of predominantly Lion Brand's Fisherman's Wool. And the kind of lighter color is, what is this, oatmeal, I think? Yep, oatmeal. And the other one, I cannot remember the color of it, but this is the bulk of his body. It's just that darker color. Fisherman's Wool only comes in like 3 or 4 colors, so it shouldn't be hard to figure out if you're looking for it. It is 100% wool, but I have found that this tends to be a little bit on the lighter side of a 4-weight. Could be wrong, could be right in the middle, but when I'm working with it, it feels like a lighter 4, which is actually not that bad. I'm really enjoying working with it. It is a little bit scratchy, a little bit grabby, but I don't mind that either because it's giving a really nice texture to our otter. I am using a 3.75 millimeter hook. I don't know if that is standardized or not. It's an F hook, but that is what I'm using. For his little jacket, or it might not end up being a jacket, we'll see. For his little shirt, I'm using a melon or honeydew colored yarn. This is actually, I think, more of a 5-weight, so that is a little bit challenging, but I'm not having to buy anything new to make him, so that's why we went with that one. And then he does have a striped shirt in the picture, and I am clearly not doing that. I'm doing a little bit of a collar and a little bit of a cuff detail, but for the most part, I'm going to stick with this minty melony green to get through the rest of him. No time frame on this guy. Hopefully I'll get some good progress done on him, but I do need to kind of switch it up with my hands. I found that one of the best things I can do to crochet longer is to switch up the size of the hook. So with a smaller hook size, well, smaller for me, if I can intersperse some other projects, then I can actually crochet for longer and enjoy it all the more. So happy that I'm making progress here. I think he's going to be fantastic, and I'm really loving just this whole process and the creativity of making this into a particular character. I wouldn't say I'm halfway through with him, maybe a third of the way through. We'll have to do ears, we'll have to do the tail and the legs, and I am going to put a special garment with him, so hopefully that'll work out. But for now, loving where we're at with this otter. The last thing I want to talk to you guys about is a project that I have percolating, and I'm going to need your help because this is something that I've not done before, which is order from Herrschners. I want to know y'all's experience with Herrschners, especially with their acrylic yarns. Here's why. Not that long ago, Crystal over at Bag O' Day Crochet was showing some blankets, some Afghans that have been sent into her that she's going to auction off to benefit animal rescue. And there's one blanket that she showed that just blew my mind. It was so beautiful in such a bright, joyful way. And that particular blanket, I'll try to put a screenshot here. But that particular blanket used a tutorial of Crystal's, and she referenced that. So I was able to go back and find that tutorial, and it was for a off-center granny square with a flower. So I decided to follow that and just do a little bit of a mock-up to see what that would look like. This is all using scraps of Caron Simply Soft. I actually need to measure this, weigh it, and kind of see what the yardage requirements were just to create this square. But here's where my thought process comes in. If I were to make a similar Afghan to that one, number one, I don't want to put ruffles on it, but what if I just did squares like this with a bright, either yellow or a white flower, and then various colors, just solid colors around the edges as the granny squares, and then I could do join as you go to put them all together. Is that the kind of blanket that I would enjoy having? I think I would. So here is my thoughts. So I do get the Herrschner's catalog, but I've never ordered anything from them. So I want to know, I've heard a couple of people, I know Ella and Gary, a couple of people recently have mentioned that they're working with Herrschner's worsted 8. Say that 5 times fast. Herrschner's worsted 8. Herrschner's worsted 8. See, I can't even do 2. Anyway, gorgeous, gorgeous colorways here, and even different yarn packs that you can select from. And Herrschner's are often running different sales and different specials. So I've just been going through here and getting really excited and really happy. But I want to know, what are y'all's experiences? Shannon, I know that you love Herrschner's as well. Tell me what you think of their yarns. Would you go with something like the Worsted 8 Heathers? Would you go with something like their Bohemian Romance? Has anyone worked with those? I think those are on sale now. I think that you could still get the big pack of it, like a sampler pack, but I don't think that they had like that Marsala color anymore. But what about even their Supreme Worsted? Tell me what y'all's experiences are. Because I'm in this point where I have Hobby Lobby and I have Joann's. And until Hobby Lobby has their great big sale, their clearance, I'm kind of just thinking, what else is there? I mean, when you go to a local yarn store, a fancy yarn store, y'all know I like to visit those and kind of check them out. But they're not going to have something like a ball of 489 yards of a worsted weight acrylic. That's not something that's generally there. So what are my other options here? I think Herrschner's seems to be such a wonderful, reputable company. I've had so many people say good things about them. But at the same time, do I want to risk getting a blanket's worth of yarn when I've never used that yarn before? So this is me kind of trying to do some research, kind of crowdsourcing my information, kind of getting, not the hive mind per se, but in the multitude of counselors, there is wisdom. So what do y'all think? What are y'all's experiences with Herrschner's? Have y'all used it before? I definitely want to go with a worsted weight yarn because it would be an Afghan. I'm realizing that the blanket I made for the blank slate blanket, it's got such a great weight to it because it has that extra layer of yarn. And I used Hobby Lobby, I love this yarn, and I used Caron 1 pound for that. But I'm willing to try new things. So thank you in advance for sharing your wisdom and your experiences in the comments. I really do appreciate that in advance. And I will let y'all know if I decide to go forward on this. You know, something like this is a really big commitment, especially when I have sweaters I want to make and shawls I want to make. Why in the world would I say, oh, let's make a whole new Afghan? But sometimes that idea just gets in your head and you're like, this is so beautiful. I feel like I'm going to step out and do it. Maybe it's just the feeling of spring. Maybe it's that there's so many gorgeous greens and so many flowers blooming and so many berries and all kinds of wonderful things happening in the world. Even the colors of the cicadas, the black and the red and the gold. All of these colors are kind of coming in, and maybe that's what I'm thinking with this this idea of a floral blanket, of really embracing some of those colors and those contrasts and just enjoying it. It's the dance we do as crocheters, right? Or as creators or as crafters or as even as artists, that dance between projects that we want to start and do and the projects that we have things set aside. You know, there's never enough time in the day. We all have busy lives. And yet there's that drive to keep stretching and trying something new. Oh, I want to make that next. I want to make that next. I want to make that next. It's such a beautiful thing how creativity continues to stretch us and pressure us so that we can't stay the same. We have to reach, we have to do something new. We have to try it that time. And it keeps us alive. It's like a flowing river. You know, the river is never quite the same twice because it's always flowing. The water's always pulling forward and it draws up out of us. I'm getting really poetic and prosy. I hope you don't mind. That's probably my cue that I need to cut this off. I'm rambling. Anyway, y'all, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me on this YouTube journey, y'all. It is, as I'm recording, it is a month to the day. I just looked up the date that my first video posted. 1 month from today is my anniversary of starting this YouTube channel. So thank you guys so much. It's just blown my mind that y'all are all here. Y'all have subscribed, you have liked, you have commented, y'all have become some of my most favorite people to spend time with. And I really do appreciate y'all. I love the relationships that have been growing just among commenters and people that I know. If I ever get a chance to see y'all, you will get the biggest hug, Miss Ann. Miss Betty Lou, y'all are just the best. I appreciate y'all. And so many people that I'm just not rattling off your names right now. You know who you are. You are amazing. I'm so thankful for you. And if I happen to be not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. I do appreciate you. I really do. And I do hope I'll see you again soon. Bye.